welcome to the Cult Connections Review Show. I'm your host, Ian Graham, and every episode I will be joined by a guest to review what's new in the world of film and TV. So whatever takes my fancy, hopefully takes your fancy too. Come and join us on the Cult Connections Review Show.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the Cult Connections Review Show. It is Ian as always. Today we are talking Moon Knight episode 4, The Tomb. And of course I'm joined by Nathan. How are you, Nathan?
Hello, I'm very, very good, Ian. I'm happy to be here. And we're not locked up in an asylum. It might sound like we are sometimes, but we're not. But our boys are. So that's fun.
This episode had it all really. It was absolutely bonkers. So The Tomb. And what I do like about the show so far there, Nathan, is that it carries on every sort of episode where it left off. So we open up. So Stephen is unconscious, and he and Layla are sort of ambushed basically. So the last we saw of them, they were out in the desert. Khonshu whirled the sky back, as it were, however you want there to call that, really. Obviously, the gods didn't like this, so Khonshu got entombed. So we see Stephen. He's out there cold. The Layla's there, and they are attacked by obviously sort of Harrow's men. I like this because Layla certainly she showed off her action, their sort of chops, didn't she?
She did, yeah. She showed she's got a bit about her. She's not just here to be sort of the buddy along for the ride. This episode was very much sort of centered for the first 3/4 of it were very much sort of more about Layla and finding out a bit more about her, and which I thought was spectacular because she was probably. It's not a complaint at all, and it's not a nitpick, but she was probably the one who's lacking a little bit in terms of backstory. I know Mark, we know very, very little about as well, but I guess that's kind of the point of him. But it was good to open her up a little bit and show that she's not just Dora the Explorer or whatever. She can fight. I'm sure Dora can as well if she needs to. But
I'm sure if their Dora was in that kind of situation, that she probably could handle herself.
I didn't see the Dora movie that came out a couple of years ago, but she looked like she could probably handle herself as well.
Yeah. I don't think I doubt that film's quite as violent as this. So they sort of defeat Harrow's men, and then we see them heading off to where the tomb is. So some lovely shots of the sort of Egypt and the desert and the sort of cliff sort of scapes. I did like that a lot. And then they get to the camp, and I think as well, this kind of sets it up for me, and I picked this up very sort of quickly. It's eerily sort of quiet. There's no one about.
Yeah, not at all. Clearly something's gone down, and we sort of find, we get an idea of what's probably happened to these I say poor men, they're the bad guys, but in a way. But yeah, we get an idea momentarily, but it's silent. It's sort of how you would imagine a tomb to be.
Yeah,
very quiet.
Yeah, very much.
Yes, and a bit. This episode had a little bit of sort of horror elements to it, particularly one bit which we'll get to very shortly. Has sort of a big kind of horror movie vibe, setting up nicely for the multiverse of madness, which is apparently meant to be some sort of hybrid horror movie as well. So.
Well, we'll see about that, and in just over a week's time as well. So
yes.
the one thing I noticed from this bit, so sort of Stephen and Layla are actually going round the camp, and there is a growing sort of confidence about this Stephen.
He's in his element at this point. He's feeling very confident. He's sort of is very, very attracted to Layla, to the point where they have a little kiss at one point. And despite Mark telling him not to, Mark is sort of in the mirror telling him to give him the body. This isn't his area. But this was the Stephen show to begin with, and he is very, very much alive in this sort of environment. He knows what's going on.
Yeah.
He knows what everything means. He's confident. I don't know where that confidence has come from. Maybe it sort of bleed over from helping Conchu turn the sky around.
Yeah.
Or maybe he just senses an opportunity, as we all do when we're attracted to someone. Big yourself up a little bit and sort of get. It's probably a bit. It's probably a bit of both.
Well. I mean, and to be fair, and I can kind of get this. Layla certainly, gives off enough vibes that she likes the Stephen as well. So, I can see why he's maybe feeling a bit sort of full of himself. I did enjoy the fact that after they kiss and the Layla goes down into the tomb, Stephen still sort of stands there for a bit. That Mark punches him, as it were, so or he punches himself. I did actually enjoy that part, and I was like, yeah, fair enough.
I had to watch that bit back again. I didn't catch what happened. Somehow I missed it. I don't know if I was getting a drink or something, but I was watching it, and then he kind of fell, and I was like, what happened there? But no, that was very clever.
Yep. So Mark, so Layla. They sort of descends into the tomb, and Mark basically falls in there to it. And I did find some of this a little bit sort of difficult. It was because it was really dark, and like a tomb is going to be really dark, and that makes sense. But there were bits where I couldn't actually make out sort of too much. But they enter this sort of chamber. There's the Eye of Horus. Then he's able to work out that Amit's avatar was a pharaoh.
Yeah. So that's sort of what they worked out, and that they worked out they were in a tomb. And Stephen obviously is quite aware that it's as he called it, it's got to be a big un. And boy, did it turn out to be a big un, the tomb that they're in. So I did some bits and pieces on that when we get to it, when we get to the sarcophagus. But it's the Eye of Horus. They realised, was it the tongue of Amit or Horus? Which one was it? I can't quite remember. So they realised from there. But Stephen instantly kind of realises what shape the tomb is in. This bit I kind of thought, well, how the hell did he work that out so quickly?
Yeah,
because he just drew the symbol on the whatever it was in the sand. But no, very, very interesting. You don't need to explain everything, but
no,
he's a smart guy that knows his Egyptian history. So no, I thought it was good.
Yeah. So they move on. There's another sort of chamber part, and there's like there's a sacrificial sort of table, and it's covered in basically bits of sort of human. So there's blood and sort of guts and all kinds on it. So like you were saying, a bit sort of horror filmy, coming up. Then the sort of gunshots. Then we see Billy. So one of Harrow's henchmen. So it's Billy gets sort of dragged in, and he gets gutted basically.
Essentially, he gets sacrificed or entombed, whatever it is. So Layla and Stephen sort of try and look for another way out, and then Stephen's up on kind of the rafters or on this platform when they hear a weird clicking sound, and the clicking sound turns out to be some sort of Egyptian demon, undead being, not sure what it was, but dragged Billy in, put him on the table, and just started gutting him, but putting his organs in the jars anyone that knows sort of a bit about Egyptian history will probably know that they put the organs in these strange sort of jars, and like sacrificed him or something. Not sure what it was doing, but yeah, Billy does pop up again in a bit.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, but I did wonder, Nathan, just a bit about is what's going on means that whatever Harrow wants isn't going there to plan, or
I think
because that's what got me thinking. I was like,
essentially, I think so. They've come down in here, and Amit has obviously got some sort of protector over whose tomb it is. I don't know why we're being coy about it. It's Alexander the Great, and he's the tongue of Amit, and so there must be some sort of protection in there. So his men are just getting cut down a bit, but I don't know. Harrow didn't seem overly bothered when we see him in a bit, but he does seem like the sort of guy that would have sent the boys in first, and he'll be along to take the credit. So, but at this point, also, it's worth noting that Layla makes the escape from the room in one direction. Stephen goes off in a very different direction, but promises that he will find Layla.
Yeah. So he does. Yeah. Yeah. I'd like to say so. The Layla has to fight the creature. It's a sort of skeleton type sort of zombie-ish sort of creature that she has to fight. I did get some sort of Lara Croft vibes going on here,
It did,
and I suppose as well, sort of or maybe a bit later actually, but certainly at this point, some sort of Lara Croft or they're the Mummy.
Yeah, it did remind me
those sort of films.
One of the Lara Croft games. I can't remember which one it is, where you end up fighting at some point some sort of like indigenous people to this island, and they look very similar. The skull over the face, and just sort of the relentless attacks. But yeah, Layla sticks a flare in its eye and tips it over the edge, which was which is good, because I was worried for a second. She got dragged into the darkness of this wall out of nowhere, and it didn't look like she sort of came back at one point and then got dragged again. You're like, oh Christ, like is this? Are we saying like what's gonna happen here? But then she emerges and does a hell of a job, as you say, Lara Croft of handling herself. But at this point, enter the Harrow.
Well. So just before that, although we have already mentioned it, so Stephen finds the big, or the bigger chamber, and this is where the sarcophagus is, and like we say, he works out that it's Alexander the Great. So no sort of Colin Farrell at this point, though. So we're okay there.
We're okay. I've got a bit about this. So Stephen walks into the tomb and he mentions two pharaohs, for those wondering what he said. I'm sorry if I pronounce these wrong, but Tutmos II and Nefertiti. So I've got a little bit about those guys. So I was like, who are these people? So Tutmos II was the fourth pharaoh of the 18th dynasty. It's kind of not a lot is known about them. Nefertiti was a queen of the 18th dynasty of ancient Egypt, and alongside her husband, she reigned during the wealthiest period of Egyptian history, and was known for playing a prominent role in the cult of the sun god known as Aton. Both the tombs were never discovered, but Tutmos's mummy was. So there we go. So we are, so that's in case you're wondering, because you looked at those little figures and the horse and that, and that's what Stephen was on about, and that's the point where he goes, it's going to be a big one. Yeah, he was right.
And it is indeed. Yeah. So Alexander the Great, indeed. So Stephen does this. Then Layla meets up with Harrow, and he basically tells her about her father and how her father died, or tells her that she has to ask their Mark about it.
He tells. We don't know at this point, because we don't know if they're going to go along with the comic book side of it or if they're going to go in their own direction. But he alludes to the fact that
Uh-huh.
Mark was the one that executed her dad, because we already know that they were killed kind of execution style, which is in line with the comics, so that makes you think they are going that way. But yeah, he definitely does more than hint that Mark did it, but at the same time, Mark obviously isn't being truthful about it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
so there we are. But the seeds of doubt, a classic cult leader, the seeds of doubt.
So Stephen opens up the sarcophagus. Then, Layla turns up, and now this is interesting because it turns back. So we've had Stephen, and then Layla asks to speak to Mark, and Mark takes over, and she confronts Mark about her father. Now, I found this bit interesting, then Nathan, because way back when we were previewing the series, and obviously we spoke about the Mark and the Stephen characters, and about the dissociative the disorder. Now, one of the things about this, or one of the triggers for someone to have this is often big, their sort of trauma. So some sort of trauma in their lives. And I'm wondering if this actually is the trauma for what causes Mark to, his their mind to their sort of splinter, as it were. If this is one of the factors for that, so.
I think you're probably right. Like, it's always alluded to in the comics that this is obviously a big thing for him to try and handle. He alludes to the fact that he should have died that night as well. That is very in line with the comics, where he did die in Khonshu's tomb, and it was Khonshu that resurrected him from there. And then he hasn't been able to really handle having Khonshu there, hence the big split in personalities. Or is it the trauma of what happened to him just before that, where his partner turned his back on him, presumably some version of Bushman, which is who the mercenary is in the comics. We don't know yet, but yeah, this is a big thing to deal with. Yeah, it's very interesting in the way they're set.
Yeah. I think so. Yeah. And again, I mean, there's a lot more room there to find out about this and see this one sort of grow. So Harrow and his their sort of disciples, they find Mark. The Layla manages to sort of slip away, doesn't she? And then we see this amazing shot, actually, and this is quite something. So Harrow actually shoots Mark. Shoots him sort of twice, and we see Mark, he falls back, and there's this water, there's this pool of their water, and then we'll have this amazing shot where Mark has fallen further and further down through the water. It gets very, very dark. There's just a tiny bit of sort of light, so there's a tiny circle, and so that gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and then boom, and then we have an aspect ratio there change. We're on video, or what's recreated to look like the video, and we'll have a scene from a film, a film that we will find out is called Tomb Their Buster. So a bit of sort of Tomb Raider vibes, or sort of in the Indiana Jones. Definitely, I definitely got that vibe there from it. And the lead character, who is a sort of adventurer, is Dr. Stephen Grant.
Good symbolism here, and a good bit of fun.
Yeah.
Wild, and sort of sets us up nicely for for what's about to go down. No, I loved it.
Yeah,
It was
because I
great.
mean, yeah, I absolutely loved this bit. And but here we are, we're in a psychiatric ward or a clinic of some kind. Um, Stephen, no, sorry, not Stephen. Mark is sitting there. He's in a wheelchair. He looks a bit, they're sort of catatonic. Um, but this is so everything's white. It's very bright. It's very clean. But there's lots of familiar things around us. So it's all of the characters that we've already met.
Yeah,
Yeah, so the Billy and their Bobby are there. The Donna from the museum, she's there. Um, and the
yeah. Everybody's here.
Harold's there.
This is
Yeah.
this is pulled straight from quite a recent Moon Knight story, directly
Okay.
where Mark wakes up in a insane asylum. It's only pulled from a few years ago, probably 2015, 2016, but it's pretty much the exact same thing. The first scene is him waking up in this asylum, and there's the idea that Moon Knight might have never happened, and it's all in
Hmm.
his head. So it's
Yeah.
quite smart. But yeah, there's a lot of people in there. The bingo caller was the is the human statue
Ah.
from the first couple of
Okay.
episodes.
Uh-huh.
The first number that the bingo caller calls is B22, but Moon Knight issue 22 is sort of has a cover where it shows all three. Well, we've only met two, but all three personalities on there, so that's potentially
Okay.
something as
Ah.
well.
Yeah.
The bingo caller is holding a hat. It's the same hat Stephen made sure people were throwing tips into for the human statue. Same white hat.
Okay.
Uh,
Uh-huh.
yeah, one of the patients. I've got quite a few of these,
Yeah,
so I've
yeah,
done
go
my
on, Nathan.
research.
Yeah, yeah, crack on.
One
Yep.
of the patients in the psych ward is trying to solve a Rubik's cube. So we've seen Stephen trying to solve a
Stephen
Rubik's
was
cube in an
throwing
attempt to
one.
stay awake.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
the orderly who is giving out Jello is, as you already said, Bobby.
Uh-huh.
Donna's there, as you've already said. The clock in the background behind Donna in the psych ward appears to show Khonshu's staff in the way that the hands are positioned, and they've also got a moon
Hmm.
on the end of them. The orderly who is pushing around a cart with the cupcakes is Layla's acquaintance Beck, who we met in the last episode.
Ah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah. Beck's cupcake card connects to the chase scene where he was driving down the mountain and he had a big cupcake on top of his van.
So it
Uh,
does, yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. One of the more obvious ones is one of the patients was drawing a bird, which looked exactly like Khonshu's head when they
Hmm.
flicked it up. And then when we see Mark in the psych ward sitting in his favourite spot, you can see his goldfish in the corner.
Ah.
Yeah. And then
I hardly picked up on any of those things, Nathan. So well done to
yeah.
you,
And
mate.
then
Tell you that.
yeah. Have I got any more? Let me scroll down. Yeah, we've already said that we've seen Billy again.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and then yeah, that's the last one I've got for you.
Yeah. Mark's sitting in a wheelchair. He's bound to the wheelchair, so similar like he was to his bed. Earlier on, he seems to see Stephen in the reflection from the wall. And he gets up, but he falls over because obviously he's bound to the chair. Then he's taken to see um, the psychiatrist, which is Harrow. Um,
Mm.
Now, I don't know if you picked on this, but so in Harrow's office it's the same archways that are in his funny, the sort of hideout place from earlier on. So it's meant to be a very of the same sort of building. Um, Again,
Pretty much.
lots of yeah, so lots of the sort of Egyptian stuff as well, sort of hanging about. Um,
Yeah, there's a lot of symbolism in
so
there. There's a picture on the wall as well, obviously, which looks exactly like wherever it was that we went in the first episode. God, I can't remember what that place was now.
Yeah, so the Alps,
And
I think it was, wasn't it? Somewhere in the
yeah,
Alps, yeah.
you got the cane leant up against the table, which looks exactly like the cane that he carries around. The shoes as well, they focus on at one point. The same shoes that we saw from the very first shot of the show. I think it was the first shot of the show where he's putting the glass in the shoes. So there's a lot of stuff in here. There's a lot of stuff for everybody. It's like Easter eggs everywhere.
It is, and it's well worth. Well, I've watched it twice now, Nathan. So and there's loads of stuff that I didn't pick up on. So it's obviously going to be well worth, going back again. So, so Mark manages to get up. He manages to get up. Sort of Bobby and Billy try to, they sort of strain him, but he gets away. So he's running through their sort of corridors. There's lots of eerie sort of bits going on. There he hides in a room. And there is a sarcophagus in it, and it's rattling about, and there's Stephen breaks out of it.
Yeah, so this is quite interesting because of a shot that comes up in just a moment. But we obviously see Stephen getting released and getting revealed, and it's another personality in Mark's head. And then they have quite a cute moment where they sort of hug it out. And they're happy to see each other.
Yeah, I know. I found that quite nice.
Despite everything that's happened, and with Stephen kissing Mark's wife and all of that, they're sort of banding together because I think it confirms to them that no, this isn't real, or something's going on.
Yeah.
Maybe it is real, but they're trapped somewhere. They obviously mentioned the Overvoid in the last episode, and the Overvoid is a place in the MCU, just to remind everyone, where the Egyptian gods are apparently like live or kind of thrive in this weird sort of overvoid place. So maybe that's where they are. But I think the most interesting bit is one of the rooms that they sneak by in a minute, and it's got another sarcophagus that is bouncing around.
Yeah.
And I think we all know that that's going to be, well, we don't know what name they're going to go by, but Jake Lockley is the third personality in
Jake.
Yeah, in the comics. So
yeah,
maybe.
Well, that was hinted. Yeah, I mean that was hinted in episode 3 as well. So, yeah. So yeah. Who knows? And then Nathan, it ends on an even more bonkers note because there's a token, their sort of hippo in their sort of Egyptian garb just sort of turns up. Yeah.
So
that's the end of the episode. But so what's this all about?
Yeah, so this is sorry if I butcher this name again to anyone that I guess is Egyptian or whatever, but Taweret is the name. That's how I'm reading it. So who is the goddess of childbirth and the protector of women and children from ancient Egyptian mythology. Now, quite interestingly, Taweret, that was the merchandise or the doll that Stephen was organising in the first episode when he had one of his encounters with Donna when he was doing, and I'm sorry to use the word, Ian, inventory. So,
inventory,
inventory or stock check. So yeah, she pops up, and I think that probably confirms that this is perhaps the Overvoid, and she's obviously the protector of women and children in Egyptian mythology. Maybe they're expanding that and making her some sort of like nurse to everyone with issues or something like that. I don't know what they're going to do with that. But yeah, that's who the hippo is, for anyone wondering.
Okay.
But yeah, very funny ending, just having Mark and Stephen just both scream their heads off at this hippo just saying hi.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, and I mean, and just to sum it up, Nathan, what a fantastic episode.
It's absolutely fantastic, and it opens up so much more of the Moon Knight character that I didn't think they were going to do in season 1. But they're giving us everything, and they're giving it to us in sort of heavy doses as well. We're getting a whole full, there's 2 more episodes to go, and
yeah. So what the hell's going to go on in those 2? I don't know, but I mean, wow. So Yeah, they are. They're absolutely packing it in. But it's been such a ride. I did love this one especially. I did love the ending, but the use of other like their sort of media, and then all of the references as well. I mean, I thought they worked so well, and um, obviously you have a good eye for them there, Nathan. But uh,
I'm
but
good at
I mean, I
research
think,
before we podcast.
but also I think that 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 does make a series, worth of a rewatch, or that you're going to get more out of it as you go on. So I think that's a testament to how good it has been. So this one's been absolutely great. It's
100%, yeah. And as you say, it's exciting times. We've got 2 more episodes of this. We then got Doctor Strange right on the heels of that. Oh,
yeah,
we got Miss Marvel on the way as well.
hmm
There's a
yeah.
lot going on in the MCU. It never stops,
No,
and it
no, no,
never
not
will.
at all. But I think you know, I think for me, and we were talking about when we started this off there, Nathan, that this was a series that could have gone anywhere. So like we spoke
Yeah,
about maybe the different sort of strands that we've already had within, um, they're within the sort of television series, or these limited sort of series as they are. Um, and this could have been a bit more like Winter Soldier, or sort of Hawkeye, and being um, quite sort of grounded, or more like sort of Loki and being very very sort of they're sort of fan tastical, and
yeah,
and sort of colourful, and very large, but it seems to be everything so far. So
pretty much. I think
yeah,
we've hardly had any Moon Knight, as in suited
yeah,
up and booted. Yeah, we've had bits and pieces. We've had some fun scenes with Mister Knight, but it's gone in the good direction of being not just another action series, which it
mhm,
could have easily been. It's telling a story,
yeah,
and it's telling it in a very interesting way. I think Oscar Isaac deserves so much praise for the way he's portraying 2 characters, maybe even 3 in the end,
yeah.
doing
Oh
it
yeah,
with
definitely.
such
Yeah.
to
Uh huh.
be able to differentiate and give us 2 unique people that just happen to look the
Yeah.
same. It's
Yeah.
it's remarkable.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. He's been superb, but also credit to obviously the rest of the
Oh
people
yeah,
who are making it, because it's just been absolute their quality. Um, so on that note, actually, episode 5's coming very soon. There for us, so we will enjoy that. But once again, there, Nathan, and your fabulous eye for their detail. Thank you very much.
no worries. Thank you ever so much. I'm looking forward to being back again.
Yeah, and we will be soon. And thank you everyone there for listening. Um, he hasn't said it since episode 1, but I will say it. Latest gaze.